What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Liberty Lounge. I'm here with the founder of Liberty Networking, Mr. Jimmy Sorrells. How are we doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing great.
Awesome, and I'm here with our special guest, Mr. Nick Stevens of Legacy Decks. What's up, Nick?
Hey, guys. How are we doing today?
We're good. Thank you so much for coming in, Jimmy. I'd love if you could just give everybody a quick background and purpose behind why we do this podcast.
Yes, this podcast is a chance for us to support and promote some of our Liberty Networking members. And it's also a way for you to find out a little bit more about Liberty Networking. We're an in-person network organization. Our core values are liberty and integrity, and our core focus is building authentic, long-term relationships.
I love it, man. And we get a chance to interview entrepreneurs, professional salespeople, and everything in between who are part of this amazing network. And we've got the chance and the honor to talk to Nick Stevens. Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm working for Legacy Decks right now as their lead sales consultant. I'm also working with our academy, where we help deck builders around the country with their systems, processes, really helping them become better business owners, not just great craftsmen, which most of them already are. And then we also have a men's development group called LDX, or Legacy Day Experience. We also have a women's department of that, but I can't really speak to that because I don't coach those women. And that's where we really help build the businessman before the business plan. And so that's been a huge thing for me, and probably the biggest thing that's changed my life. Prior to this, I was working in commercial insurance. Wasn't very good at it, Jamie.
Hey, I don't do that kind of insurance.
Yeah, a whole different animal. Like most people right out of college, got my start with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Gave you the tools to be your own boss, that type of thing. And so that was a great experience there. And then really met our owner of Legacy Decks and realized I wanted to make a change and kind of pursue something a little bit different than a lot of my college classmates decided to go do.
Yeah, where did you connect with Chris?
So actually through a networking group.
Okay.
I was a part of Pace Setters here in Greenville with the Chamber, young professional group, and
Nice.
One of my mentors knew Chris, knew that I was actually looking for a career change, and gave the introduction, and over a cup of coffee, I realized, hey, this is somebody that I want to go work with and pursue life with.
That's awesome.
What about him made you say, I want to go work with him and pursue life with him?
It's been 8 years since that meeting, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around exactly what it is. If you've ever met Chris, he's charismatic, he's caring, he listens.
Yeah.
He has a direction and he has a vision. And over the years, one of the things that I've really realized about him is that he wants to create a space that every dream of all of his employees can live within and grow within that. And if they can't, then his dream isn't big enough. So he's constantly doing that self-reflection, seeing where we can take that direction, and then listening to the people within his companies to say, all right, this is how we can push it. This is where we can really, take it to the next level. And so within that, it's just giving me so many opportunities to grow as a professional as well as personally. And for that reason, it's like, this is where I'm staying for the long term.
And people want to follow people who know where they're going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you had a coach before you met Chris, or a mentor?
Yes,
So-
absolutely.
So what's your importance of that? Has that been in your life?
So I think for a lot of people, I was explaining this to someone the other day, is, growing up, my biggest advantage was that I had a ton of great male role models. And then for some reason you hit 18, it's time to go to college, time to go, make a man of yourself, create something else for your life. And we get into this, isolation bubble where it's all about me. I've got to do it all myself. And when I realized that, guess what? This world's hard enough as it is. I probably shouldn't try to do it all on my own. That's when I started to reach out to different groups and realize that mentors are just people that are further along down the path than
That's
you.
right. It's just part of the journey, right?
Exactly. And so once I started realizing that mentors were so important to me, that's where I really started to see my life accelerate, my momentum start to pick up. And, getting that introduction to Chris was a huge jumping off point for me in a time in my life where I really needed. I was going through some really tough stuff personally. And with that change, that trajectory shift, I'm now here with, one kid, another one on the way here in a couple of weeks or so.
Congratulations.
And so really excited about that.
It's awesome.
Incredible, man. I'd love to kind of talk and transition a little bit into, would you consider yourself a professional salesperson?
At this point, yeah. I mean, I know salesperson has this negative connotation because, most people think of that, the Hollywood script, the sleazy used car salesman that's going to trick you into buying something you don't want. And the reality is that most salespeople were educators first and foremost. Most people, when they come to purchase any specific product, service, anything like that, they've done a good amount of research, but they still don't know everything that might be an option for them. And so for me at this point in my career, I'm much more geared towards helping people find solutions and finding the right solution for them.
Good, good. And then would you also consider yourself a business owner?
No, I am not. I am not a business owner. I know we've mentioned this. I'm an entrepreneur. I have not taken the risk of having to make a payroll, of having to make sure the lights stay on in the building, making sure we have the insurance, all of those things. So, but within the Legacy Dex team, I consider myself my own brand. I know that when people are calling and interacting with me, they're buying me as much as they are our brand. And so how I represent myself when I'm wearing our company logo, everything like that, they're buying Nick and Legacy Dex.
And kind of where I'm going with this whole thing is that really there is kind of like this employee mindset typically versus like a business owner mindset. And an employee mindset is just, I show up to work, I get paid, I come in, I work an hour, you give me $1. You have, there are different mindsets as an entrepreneur that you have to have, like that business ownership mindset. You might not actually own the business, but there are things that you're doing where you're taking personal ownership and personal accountability that a typical employee would not take. So talk to us about, maybe some of those things that you do as a professional salesperson, as an entrepreneur working inside of someone else's business to still treat it like your own business.
Yeah, I mean, for me, every time I'm going out in public, I'm wearing Legacy Dex apparel. Like, I know you never know who you're going to run into. I know when I'm driving a work vehicle, hey, that's an opportunity. That's a moving billboard. You never know who's going to scan the QR code on the back of my tailgate and give us a ring there. But then also when I'm in the office, like, I'm excited to go into work on a Monday morning. I'm excited to see my team. I've read this book. I forget the author. It escaped me, but it's called It's My Company Too. And the reality is that the greatest compliment I can get from a homeowner that I go out and meet with is, oh, are you the owner of the company? That means that I'm representing what we're doing in the right manner. And so that's a really important aspect for me is, do I represent myself as if I were an owner? And that comes probably from my background. My parents were entrepreneurs growing up. We had restaurants growing up, and then my dad got into the credit card processing world.
Oh, nice.
Up in New England. And so I got to see what it was like, the pain points. Certainly the aspects of owning a restaurant that I will never take on. My parents always said, we'll support you in whatever you do as long as it's not opening a restaurant.
Oh, my goodness.
And I know the pain points there, but, working with Legacy Dex, it's giving me that opportunity to really push myself in that entrepreneur role and feel like a business owner without actually taking that risk. And the reality is that, could I go out and do it on my own? Absolutely. Do I want to? No, because who I am successful with is probably more important to me at this point than what I'm successful at.
Yeah, and it's also very important to you got to be a part of a company that allows that too. The atmosphere, the culture, the owner has to be like, yes, I want to give you incentives to grow and make as much money as you can and help other people, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's something that we have in spades at Legacy Dex. It's a growth-minded place. Everyone in there, we're talking about what our personal goals are, not just our professional goals, so that way we can help each other go out there and achieve it.
Yeah.
Before we transition too much, talk to us a little bit more about the LDX experience and what you guys are doing. You said build the businessman before you build the business plan. What does that mean?
Yeah, so it was funny. We started the LDX thing with the Academy, and it was kind of a precursor of like, okay, if you're willing to invest in yourself as an individual, then we can probably help you because, hey, it can go a lot faster. Heck, what it could take 3 years, we can probably accomplish in 1 if we know you're willing to put in the work on yourself as an individual.
Right.
But then we started having people say, oh, well, I'm interested in doing something like that, and they weren't a deck builder. And so we realized we needed to probably expand that out. And really what we focus on is helping men, entrepreneurs, be better stewards to their business, to their bank accounts, but then also taking care of yourself physically. Like, how are you fueling your body? Are you working out regularly? When was the last time you went for a physical? And then your being, which is you're going to be your mental state, spirituality, and then the one that's probably the most important to me is balance. So that's your relationships. So whether you're in a marriage, in a relationship, if you're single, Like, what are you doing to put yourself out there to attract what you want? So that's our kind of our core four, our body, being, balance, and business. And it's amazing when all four of those things start clicking for you, how much easier life can be. And then when things get a little bit off track, you kind of know, okay, that's my core. That's what I need to get back to. Okay, I know I need to get back at those little things. And all of a sudden, the little things make a big difference.
What's like one of the biggest breakthroughs that you've had going through, all of this education that you guys have done, like the LDX experience and everything else you've done with Chris?
So probably the biggest breakthrough for me personally, it was, what was it, January 17th, 2018. That was my day where I just kind of released, we call it release the rage, and I just let go of some things that I had been holding on to for quite some time. A lot of things that maybe I had some responsibility in, but I was taking all of the blame, and I just kind of let it go. And that really was a big release for me. But since being able to help, I think we're up to close to 50 men that have gone through the different programs with us. And the biggest thing that has helped me with that is realizing while everyone has a unique situation, us as men, we're not in any special situations. Most of us are going through very similar things, a lot of the same struggles as providers, as husbands, as fathers. And the more that we can share those things with other men, the more we realize that we're actually doing a pretty dang good job.
That's
and
right.
So that's a really powerful thing for me.
I love how LDX, you got somebody that shows up and they're like, I want to grow my business, and they go through that, and then it affects their whole family and their whole life, and it permeates everything for the better.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you've seen that many times.
Yeah, it's amazing when you feel like you're showing up better as a husband and a father, how much better you show up in your business, and then things start to go better with the business, and then home life becomes a lot better because there's a lot less stress of paying bills or having the time and all of these different things. So it just fuels each other, which is really a powerful thing for these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that a lot of men don't necessarily love opening up to other men, but then you get into a experience like this where you see that there's so many other people that are struggling with the exact same things that you're struggling with, and it just kind of opens those doors. And I mean, like, vulnerable is kind of like a weird word for men a lot of the time, but like when you have a place that you can sit down and talk to people like, hey, like, no, I actually am struggling in my marriage, I am struggling with my health, I am struggling with holding myself accountable, and I'm not alone. Like, almost all men struggle with these things. So I think a lot of us, we just kind of look at somebody and they go, oh, that person, they're just disciplined. That person, they just wake up every morning and their feet hit the floor and they're excited to be awake. And that's not always the case.
Yep.
So I think having that is such a powerful thing. I guess, did you have, if you had people go through this and like they haven't had that community, and now, being a part of that community, they feel empowered?
Yeah, absolutely. So we now run a weekly call with guys that are graduates that decide to continue working with us. We call it the Impossible Game. And what's one of the most powerful things in the last couple of months with that is we had a guy who was, marriage wasn't going as he wanted to. And he's like, what do I do? And two guys recommended a marriage counselor that they had used. And it's like, oh, wow. Like,
other guys do marriage
other
counseling?
guys do marriage counseling.
Right.
And so next thing you know, he booked an appointment. He and his wife went, and they went to their first thing, and he messaged the group afterwards. He's like, guys, this was huge. Like, it opened up so much. Like, it was just another tool in the toolbox. And so that's really the big thing there. And then we do have guys that treat it like, hey, it was something that I did, kind of like an adventure program, and then they kind of fall back into their old habits because it's comfortable. But the reality is they can always come back into the swing of things. That's the nice thing with being a part of a group like that. You have a large group of men that kind of speak the same verbiage. They understand where you're coming from, and we all drift at times. Yeah, I'm guilty of it as well.
Sure.
So.
But a huge part of that is the accountability aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Of the group of men, for sure.
Yeah. Being able to have a group of men that if they know that you're not quite telling the truth, call BS on you.
That's
and
right.
Say, hey, listen, like, in here we're going to be real, we're going to be raw.
Yeah.
We're going to be relevant because we're going to go after big ass results.
That's good.
And that to me is so critical, because if you're not honest with where you are, how the heck are you going to get to where you want to go?
That's so good.
Powerful. Tell us something about you, maybe interesting or surprising, that nobody listening to this might know.
So I usually go back to the two things. So one, in my freshman year of high school, I was actually a mathlete.
would not have expected.
No, don't worry. I wasn't much of one. I didn't score a single point, and I was not on the math team my sophomore year. And then in my senior year of high school, I actually had a court mandate banning me from prom.
Nice.
Are you allowed? Was it sealed? Are you allowed?
No,
to
no,
talk
no.
about why?
It's
This sounds like it
yeah.
could be a good story.
No, so what was funny is the school that I went to up in New England, we had to do volunteer work every May as part of our graduation requirements. And so I was volunteering at a local hospital up there, running supplies all over the place. And this was when whooping cough was going around back in 2004. And it was springtime, so everybody had like some allergies and stuff like that. And so they sent me home because I had just like a little cough, like clearing my throat, post-nasal drip or whatever. I get home, get dressed for prom. I go pick up my high school girlfriend. The limo's picking us up at our house, and I pull back into our house where everybody's waiting for us. And I walk in the door, and I see my mom with a very concerned look on her face. And I'm like, what's going on? And she goes, they're not letting you go to prom.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And our senior prom was our only prom. We didn't have a junior or anything like that. So, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And so we got on the phone with the principal, all that stuff. Apparently, the school nurse who had never seen me that day had called into the Department of Epidemiology at Department of Health in Maine, and they had issued an emergency order and gotten a judge to sign off on a court order banning me from attending prom.
Gosh.
All because of whooping cough.
All because of whooping cough. And what was funny is they said they ended up determining that I did have it after 24 hours when the swab test that was told took 72 hours. So I think some results may have been cooked on that one. But needless to say, I think I have one of the more interesting senior prom stories because of that. So looking back, it was pretty sad for myself and my girlfriend at the time. But now looking back, I'm like, that's a pretty good story.
You just dance in your living room?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was the thing is that we couldn't go to prom, but we still went out to dinner and,
Well, she wasn't banned. She could have went.
Yeah, but she was kind of fond of going with me. So, yeah.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit into networking, which is, this organization, Liberty Networking, it was founded to bring together the professional salespeople, the entrepreneurs. You said you've been a part of other networking groups before.
Yep.
Tell us about that experience, and then tell us about what you've liked about Liberty Networking.
Yeah, so I've been a part of, lived all over the country, been part of multiple networking groups, and, like most networking groups, you're going to get what you give. And that's what I really think I like about the Liberty Networking Group is everybody's there not necessarily like, okay, what can I get out of this? It's like, okay, what can I just give? What can I put myself out there about? And hopefully I can help somebody.
Sure.
And that's, I think, the biggest difference between most of these networking groups. People go into them like, all right, I need to get some business out of this. I need to get my return on investment. And, it's really, you get your return on involvement. Yeah. The more involved you are, the more you're going to get out of it. And
that's gold right there.
And it might not be this week. It might not be this month. Heck, it might not even be this year. Mm-hmm. But if you show up and you're consistent at anything in life, people are going to remember you.
Yes, consistency is key. And that's what my philosophy is. You build the relationship, the business will come.
Yep.
Yeah. So you focus on the right things, right?
Return on involvement. You should.
That's good.
That should be a book.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's good.
T-shirt, a hat, all of it.
I've got a T-shirt guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I used the same.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah. Yeah. Brad
Nice.
Brooks, Knotted Threads. Yep.
Knotted Threads. We'll give him a
Oh
quick
yeah, he
plug.
visited.
Yep, he did, yeah.
Awesome. Good deal.
So somebody who's maybe on the edge of deciding whether or not they want to join Liberty Networking, they're sitting here and they're saying, $400, am I going to get my return on investment? How can you encourage somebody and maybe say, hey, here's what you can do to best make sure that you get that back?
I mean, I don't even know if it's about, necessarily that, like I said, that getting that investment back. The reality is that if you're getting a cup of coffee every single week, you're going to spend more than $400 in a year. You might as well get that cup of coffee with somebody in a group that might know somebody with you.
Yeah.
And it might not be somebody in the group, but if you keep showing up to your meetings and all of a sudden somebody goes, they're sitting on the back deck with somebody and they're like, hey, I want to get this fixed, this, that, and the other. And somebody goes, hey, actually, we've got a new guy in our Liberty group. He's been coming for the last couple months. Nick, give him a shout. Mm-hmm. Like that right there will pay for itself. And if people don't know about you, they don't call you.
You got to stay top of mind.
And as much as we all try to be on top of point with, social media and everything like that, if you look at who your actual followers are on most social media, they're not in your market. They're not the ones picking up the phone and calling you for your local business. So get involved in your local chapters. That's the way that you're going to be front of mind. And even if you're not front of mind, you're in the phone book and they're going to get your contact saved.
That's good.
That's really good. Well, dude, we'll just take a little chance just to plug Legacy Decks. Tell us all about Legacy Decks, what somebody can look for, what makes you guys special, and, why they should call you.
Yeah, I know I can say that we're special or everything like that, but I don't necessarily think that we're unique. We don't have some proprietary technology or, a unique deck board that nobody else can install. We're practicing the same building techniques that a lot of builders are. The reality is our biggest focal point is the people that we have on the team. We have a full, sales staff. We have a full production team, so dedicated project managers. And then something that we've really dove deep into over the last year and a half is the design build aspect. So being able to do a full 3D rendering, designing your entire backyard, not just your deck. So that way you can actually see every little detail of what your space could be. And then it's like, okay, maybe we just take off this little chunk of this project right now. That's really been a game changer for us. So being able to design, have a homeowner go, yep, that's exactly what I want. Don't change a thing about it. Or, hey, maybe we tweak this railing or that deck color. And then we know what we can go and execute on.
Wow.
And when we have that kind of a blueprint, it makes it a lot easier for us to exceed expectations instead of just being like, all right, I think they know what they're getting. And we know what they're getting because we do this every single day. But for us, we don't want you to do a second deck project unless you move. If you move, give us a call back. But that's been a huge thing for us to be able to give our homeowners that insight before they pull the trigger and make an investment on their backyard. Because the reality is, a custom built space like that, you're looking at, anywhere from 15 to 18% of your home's value realistically in a backyard space. Once you get over that 20% mark, that's when you're really getting customized. And I tell people, it better be your forever home because you might not get all of that back.
Yeah.
But, that's the nice part about, what we do is we may not be for everybody, but we have a clear-cut process that's going to allow you to know this is how this is going to be a successful construction project.
And everything that you're offering the design is all in-house.
Yep.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
So the nice part about the design team, we have partnered with some different people within the industry that work with us in the academy that help us with the designs. We're working on some aspects as bringing some things in-house, but just about everything is in-house.
That's good.
When you pick up the phone, you're going to talk to somebody that works for Legacy Decks, and then, we'll make it right. We've had situations, it's construction. Things go sideways. We have material get damaged on delivery, weather delays, but at the end of the day, it's how do you perform when things don't go according to plan? And we take a lot of pride in that. And that's where, I think going back to it's my company too, every single person that wears the LD on their arm, when they go to work, they represent that company and they want to do right by that homeowner.
And can y'all build a deck anywhere in the United States?
We cannot. Right now, we are licensed in South Carolina, working on getting our license in North Carolina.
Okay.
But if you're somewhere else in the United States, please reach out because we actually have 13 deck builders across the country that work with us on the academy side of things.
It's almost like a network, right?
It is. It is. So, it's one of those things. It's a national network that we can certainly put you in touch with the right people, or at the very least, help educate you on what you should be asking. Asking the right questions, knowing what you can and can't do is super important, especially when, like I said, making that investment in your home, especially in the backyard. We specialize with products. You're not going to sand. You're not going to stain. So better make sure you get that color right the first time.
That's good.
So how can someone get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you?
So really simple. My Instagram handle is Big Daddy Decks. My wife always laughs at that, but I'm like, it's memorable and it's easy to remember, and I didn't have to put any numbers after it either.
Yeah.
And then Legacy Decks and Outdoor Living is our professional Instagram page, and then Legacy Day X is our LDX Instagram page, which we actually have some classes going to be coming up later this year. So certainly check it out.
Thank you so much for coming in, man. Any final thoughts on how anybody here who's watching this, how they can just take advantage of networking, how they can, just be their best version of themselves, anything that you can come up with?
Get out there and tell your story. Like, a lot of people think that, oh, nobody has something to learn from me. But the reality is that we all have something to learn from everybody. We're all interesting people, regardless of what you think, regardless of what your career is. Put yourself out there, meet some new people. You never know what avenue it's going to go down. It may not be the right path right away. You may try some networking groups and have it not be the right one at first, but find the one that works for you. And the reality is that if you work at it, it'll probably work for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming
Awesome.
in, Nick.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Appreciate it.
See you next time, guys.
Corey?